There's a reason they don't want you to understand XRP. Because if you did, you'd realize the entire global financial system is about to change, and XRP is positioned right at the center of it. For over a decade, Bitcoin and Ethereum have dominated the headlines. But behind the scenes, XRP has been quietly building the most powerful financial infrastructure on Earth. While most people were distracted by meme coins and speculation, XRP was securing partnerships with the world's biggest institutions and preparing for a future where money moves in real time, across borders, without friction and without middlemen. That future is already here. You just haven't been told yet. Let's start with the core reason XRP matters. Unlike most cryptocurrencies, XRP wasn't created to be a speculative asset. It was designed from the ground up to solve a real-world problem: the inefficiencies of global money movement. Right now, if you try to send money internationally, it can take days to settle. Banks rely on outdated systems like SWIFT, with limited hours, high fees, and frustrating delays. XRP solves that. Using Ripple's on-demand liquidity system, XRP can settle cross-border transactions in just 3 to 5 seconds. It costs fractions of a penny, and it operates 24/7 even on weekends and holidays. There's no downtime, no waiting, no absurd intermediary fees. That's why over 1,700 institutions have quietly signed NDAs with Ripple. The adoption isn't hypothetical. It's happening right now. Ripple has established corridors in over 70 countries, and is already working with major banks, including Bank of America, Santander, Standard Chartered, SBI Holdings, and many others. These are not crypto-native companies. These are legacy financial giants preparing to move into a new system, and they've chosen Ripple and XRP as the foundation. But here's where it gets even more powerful. The circulating narrative is that XRP is still a cheap coin, a sub-$3 asset with limited upside. That is completely disconnected from reality. The truth is, if XRP fulfills its role as a global liquidity bridge, its price can no longer remain low. The math simply doesn't allow it. Global liquidity demands a high-value settlement asset, and XRP is designed for that role. Analysts have modeled that if XRP were to handle even a fraction of global cross-border volume, its price would need to be in the thousands, not cents. Let's break it down. Global cross-border payments exceed $155 trillion annually. If XRP were to settle just 10% of that, the value locked in the system would require token price orders of magnitude higher than it is today. Not only that, but XRP is deflationary, meaning the supply reduces over time. Every transaction burns a small amount of XRP permanently. That scarcity, combined with utility, is a recipe for exponential value increase. And unlike many other cryptos, XRP wasn't mined. It was pre-mined and distributed by Ripple. But here's the key distinction. Ripple doesn't control the XRP ledger. It's decentralized. XRP ledger validators are globally distributed, and Ripple holds no special access or override power. This is critical to understanding why XRP is unique. It combines the compliance readiness institutions demand with the decentralization the crypto community values. The recent legal clarity from the SEC further reinforces this. Ripple has agreed to pay a $50 million fine to resolve key aspects of the SEC lawsuit. That's not just a win, it's a door opening. It paves the way for XRP to be relisted, integrated, and adopted at scale across the U.S. financial system. And yes, Ripple is paying that settlement in XRP, meaning the government will directly hold this asset. Now consider this. There are serious discussions happening about American-made cryptos, U.S.-founded blockchain systems receiving favorable tax treatment, including the possibility of no capital gains tax on long-term holdings. And XRP is at the top of that list. The connections go even deeper. Ripple recently acquired Hidden Road, a global prime brokerage platform, giving them institutional-grade infrastructure to serve hedge funds, asset managers, and banks directly. With that acquisition, Ripple becomes more than just a tech provider. It becomes a full-stack liquidity engine for the global economy. And all of this is backed by some of the most airtight partnerships and NDA networks in fintech history. Over 1,700 NDAs means there are conversations and integrations happening that we, the public, don't even know about yet. But the direction is clear. The old system is crumbling, and XRP is the bridge to what comes next. When you combine all of this, the utility, the legal clarity, the institutional adoption, the deflationary model, and the sheer number of real-world integrations, there is no logical argument for XRP remaining a cheap asset. It simply cannot happen. This isn't hype. It's math. And here's what's most important. The infrastructure is already live. RippleNet and ODL are operational. The technology works. It's not theoretical. This isn't some roadmap from 2030. It's here now, and the pieces are falling into place faster than most people realize. You're either going to be early or you're going to be shocked. The biggest financial shift of our generation is unfolding beneath the surface. The question is whether you see it before it becomes obvious. If this video just opened your eyes to what XRP really is and why it matters, don't stay in the dark. Subscribe to Wealth Signal for more real financial intelligence the mainstream won't touch. We expose the moves the elites are making before they become headlines. You won't want to miss what comes next. Here's what most people don't realize. XRP was never meant to compete with Bitcoin or Ethereum. It was designed to complement or even replace the foundational rails of value movement across the planet. When Ripple talks about Internet of Value, they're not just talking about crypto transactions. They're talking about a world where anything of value, money, stocks, real estate, even identity, can be exchanged seamlessly, instantly, and securely, just like sending an email. The XRP ledger can tokenize any asset. That includes central bank digital currencies, stablecoins, real estate deeds, carbon credits, and more. And these aren't hypothetical future plans. Ripple is actively working with more than 20 central banks on CBDC development, including programs with Bhutan, Palau, and the Republic of Georgia. The real power of XRP isn't just moving money, it's rebuilding the digital plumbing of the global economy from the ground up. The biggest banks in the world have known this for years. That's why Ripple has been laser-focused on regulatory clarity while quietly expanding partnerships behind closed doors. 1,700 NDAs don't happen by accident. They happen because something big is being prepared, and the people at the top don't want it to leak until the timing is right. Now think about what this means for retail investors. While Wall Street is loading up through indirect exposure, the average person still sees XRP as a bank coin or a relic of past cycles. That's the psychological blind spot. XRP isn't just another altcoin, it's the cornerstone of a new financial paradigm, and it's already been battle-tested. XRP handled its own trial by fire through the SEC lawsuit and came out the other side with clarity, momentum, and deeper entrenchment in the financial system. That lawsuit was never about protecting retail investors. It was about buying time for the old system to prepare for the transition. But the clock has run out. The transition is now underway. When this switch flips, the price won't rise gradually. It will reprice violently to reflect its actual role in the new system. That's why the idea of XRP trading at $10,000 is not fantasy, it's basic supply and demand. Liquidity cannot exist without volume. Volume cannot exist without value. The more XRP is used, the more it must be worth, and the world is waking up. If you've made it this far, consider subscribing to Wealth Signal. We break down the truth behind the future of money before it happens. Join us and be on the right side of history.